Welcome back to True Crime Stories. Today we will explore a haunting and tragic case, the case of Chelsea King. A talented and vibrant young girl had her life brutally taken from her, leaving her family and community in unending pain. Join us to delve into the details of the case, learn about the details, evidence, and everyone's tireless efforts to bring justice to Chelsea. Don't take your eyes off the screen, because this story will keep you on the edge of your seat. Today's story takes us to San Diego County, located in the southwest corner of California, with a population of about 3.2 million according to the 2020 census. It is the fifth most populous county in the United States, famous with a pleasant climate all year round, beautiful beaches, and perfect weather. San Diego attracts many tourists from all over the world. However, when it comes to crime, San Diego has a crime rate of about 3.84 per 1,000 residents. Crimes involving children here are quite rare, but this is about to change. The coming news will shake this city for years to come. Chelsea King was born on July 2nd, 1992 in Poe, California. Her parents are Brent and Kelly. They had a difficult time after her birth, as doctors did not completely remove the placenta, leaving Kelly with Asherman syndrome, a condition that causes the formation of scar tissue inside the uterus and her cervix bow. Chelsea has a close relationship with her younger brother and enjoys spending time with her family. Her family moved to the San Francisco Bay Area several times and then to Naperville, Illinois, before settling in the city of Poway in San Diego County, California in 2007. Chelsea is a smart student with a bubbly personality. As a student at Poway High School, she earned straight A's in all her subjects with a high grade point average of 4.2. She maintains a vegetarian diet and truly appreciates nature, which explains her love of jogging to the park. In fact, she and her friends had been planning an ambitious environmental cleanup project at Rancho Bernardo Community Park, a place close to their hearts, where they hoped to make a real difference. To ensure they were fully prepared for the upcoming event, they visited the park on February 25, 2010, eager to familiarize themselves with the area. The sprawling greenery and tranquil atmosphere seemed like the perfect backdrop for their cause, a space that deserved to be preserved and restored. That same day, Chelsea left home early 6:15 a.m., to be precise, for a peer counseling session before heading off to school. It was part of her routine, something her parents had grown used to, knowing she was always committed to helping others. Chelsea usually returned home around 5 p.m. like clockwork, but as the hours ticked by and the evening light began to fade, the unease in the house grew palpable. By 6 p.m., her absence became more than just unusual, it became alarming. Her parents, initially brushing off their concern as an overreaction, felt a sinking dread when they tried calling her phone and realized it was turned off. That was the moment they knew something was terribly wrong. The once quiet home quickly descended into panic, their hearts racing with the terrifying thought that Chelsea was out there, unreachable and possibly in danger. Kelly and Brent, their anxiety growing with each passing minute, decided to start calling Chelsea's friends in hopes of finding her. They dialed each number, their voices tense but still clinging to the hope that she was simply out with someone and had lost track of time. However, one by one, the responses they received were the same. None of her friends had seen or heard from her that day. Each reply hit them like a wave, sinking their spirits deeper into a well of fear and helplessness. With every phone call, the gnawing dread in their hearts intensified, the quiet possibility that something was terribly wrong solidifying into a chilling reality. Her father, Brent, decided to contact track his daughter's location. When they found Chelsea's location near Rancho Bernardo Park, Brent immediately drove there. In the parking lot, he saw that Chelsea's car was still there, with her purse and school clothes inside. Chelsea loves running and could have run for miles before returning home. However, she recently fainted while running, making Brent even more worried. So he decided to call the police, fearing that she might have fainted again and couldn't call for help. The authorities quickly stepped in with the help of many local people. They realized there were similarities between Chelsea's disappearance and a similar case that happened nearly a year ago. San Diego residents watched the incident with concern. Many volunteers came together to search for Chelsea, and her family is grateful for the strong support from the community. With this love and support, Chelsea's family searched every place she frequented. During the frantic search for Chelsea, police combed through the dense woods and winding trails near the park, desperate for any clue to her whereabouts. Their worst fears were confirmed when they stumbled upon a disturbing find: some of Chelsea's underwear and shoes discarded along a secluded stretch of the trail. The sight of her personal belongings, abandoned in such an eerie fashion, sent a ripple of horror through the search team, a grim sign that something far darker had taken place. Criminologist Annie Maurice Schaefer was brought in to examine the evidence, her expertise crucial in unraveling the truth. Upon studying the DNA sample taken from Chelsea's underwear, Schaefer confirmed a chilling discovery: the blood found on the fabric was Chelsea's, a heartbreaking indication of the violence she had endured. But what truly sent shivers down their spines was Schaefer's next revelation. Along with Chelsea's DNA, she uncovered the presence of a man's bodily fluids, a horrifying clue that pointed to the presence of a predator lurking in the shadows that day. This revelation marked the moment when the search shifted from a rescue mission to a terrifying hunt for a dangerous assailant. Once this information was noted in the report, investigators began searching for matches in criminal databases. DNA from body fluids matched a man named John Gardner, 31 years old. Furthermore, he was also implicated in a previous case: the disappearance of 14-year-old Amber Dubois. San Diegans began talking about Amber possibly running away or meeting someone online, but the feeling that something was wrong grew stronger. On February 13, 2009, Amber Dubois, 14, from Escondido, went missing while on her way to high school. Amber was born on October 25, 1994, and lives with her mother Carrie and stepfather Dave, but often spends weekends with her biological father Maurice, also known as Mo. That morning it was cold and rainy, and Amber didn't return home after school. Dave went to school to pick her up, but the teacher informed her that Amber didn't come to school. Carrie and Dave immediately filed a missing person report. Escondido police searched the area near Amber's home and school, but found no trace. Investigators and Amber's parents suspect that she may have been kidnapped. Carrie and Dave spend all their time searching for their daughter, with support from friends and family, but there are no leads. Ultimately, Amber's parents felt some relief when investigators discovered her phone had been turned on for a short time. The police department issued an emergency notice calling on people to provide information related to Amber, emphasizing that she was at risk of being kidnapped. Several people began talking about seeing Amber in the days before her disappearance, leading to thoughts that she may have chosen to run away from home. However, Carrie was adamant that Amber would never leave home. Authorities were skeptical and set up a search and rescue operation at Escondido High School, where officers and volunteers distributed flyers and searched the nearby area in hopes of finding clues. Dave, Amber's stepfather, was the last person to have contact with her before she went missing. Dave took the polygraph test 8 times and came back negative each time, but Carrie remained suspicious. John Albert Gardner, born April 9, 1979 in Culver City, California, is a suspect in the case. His mother, Kathy Osborne, was unhappy with his father, John Sr.'s out-of-control drinking, and his arrest for drunk driving. John's mother, Kathy Osborne, worked long hours, and John spent most of his time with his aunts and cousins. John has a close relationship with his half-sisters Shannon and Saren. However, he claimed to have had an intimate relationship with one of his aunts. As a child, John was often fussy due to allergies and ear infections, and he also suffered from asthma. At 16 months old, Kathy and John Sr. were married. As he grew older, John's behavior became worse. At age 4, he had difficulty controlling his impulses and had to take medication to concentrate on his studies. Temper tantrums became common, and he began to have thoughts of self-harm. When John's behavior did not improve, Kathy increased the dose of medication, but this only led to depression. In 1985, Kathy became a nurse and began giving John medication at night to help him sleep better. Kathy later divorced John Sr. and moved into a new house with John and her new boyfriend, Dan, in February 1989. John was admitted to an inpatient treatment program at UCLA, where he was diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder with mixed emotional features. He often shows hostility towards children and loses his temper. At age 21, John assaulted a 13-year-old neighbor and was arrested for the crime. It is alleged that he was also involved in other illegal activities. In addition to brutally beating the girl, John initially denied all charges, but eventually admitted to his violent behavior. He confirmed that he did not participate in any other activities with her. In 2000, John was convicted of assaulting his young neighbor and served 5 years in prison. Despite the clear evidence against him, John still believes he is a victim of the legal system. Kathy, John's mother, told the court that the reason John beat the girl was because he needed mental treatment. She pleaded with the court to allow mental health treatment and probation instead of jail time. However, the court denied this request and John was sent to prison. After being released from prison, John Jr., now 31 years old, he became depressed and often had thoughts of self-harm. On February 19, 2010, he was taken to the emergency room after a drug overdose, but was later discharged. On the morning of February 24, 2010, Kathy and Dan drove 2 hours to visit John's grandmother. They returned home at 1 a.m. to find John not at home and not answering Kathy's calls. He returned around 8 p.m., covered in dirt and sweat, carrying a headless snake. He told Kathy that the snake tried to attack him and he had to kill it. At this time, he also had a deep gash on his nose that did not look like a snakebite wound. The next day, when Kathy went to the hair salon, she heard about the disappearance of a 17-year-old girl named Chelsea King. The town was filled with posters and flyers looking for Chelsea. Police continued to investigate, and DNA results helped them identify the man involved in the case. John was at a bar on the western shore of Lake Hodges when authorities found him. Despite insisting that they arrested the wrong person, he was still handcuffed and taken to the police station. When authorities showed him a photo of Chelsea, John repeatedly denied knowing her, claiming that he had had several drinks and could not answer accurately. However, the detectives quickly realized that he was not too drunk to understand the question, even though he could smell alcohol on him. John's pants were wet and muddy, which he explained was because he fell while walking to the bar. He maintains that what he knows about Chelsea is only what he has seen on the news. During the interrogation, he had many mood swings, even claiming to be the victim of false accusations similar to his 2000 arrest. What made the detectives wary was when John mentioned that the authorities were trying to blame him for Amber Dubois' disappearance, something they never mentioned during their interrogation of Chelsea. Investigators placed Chelsea's photo in front of John and asked him to tell him where her body was, but he denied knowing anything about her. However, when the investigators left the room, John stared at Chelsea's photo and muttered in frustration. Due to lack of evidence, they were forced to release John. Then, news of another girl being attacked by a man with John's description a year before began appearing in the news. On December 27, 2009, Candace Moncayo, 22, was jogging around Lake Hodges when she was attacked by a tall, brown-haired stranger. In a dangerous situation, she used her elbow to hit his nose hard, causing him pain. Taking the opportunity, she ran away and called 911. But the police could not find the man with the broken nose, suspecting this may have been a robbery. Investigators contacted Candace to gather new information. When they sent her a photo of John Gardner, she immediately recognized him as her attacker. John's mother, Kathy, completely denies all accusations and stands by her son. Investigators hope Kathy will confess to her son's crimes if she knows about them. They emphasize that finding Chelsea was important and that John could be posing a threat to the community. When interviewed, Kathy said John was trying to seek mental health help to deal with depressive thoughts and panic attacks. She confirmed that despite John's occasional outbursts, he was still a kind man and often went for walks on the day of the incident, but did not reveal exactly where he was. Investigators continue their work. When John's photo was circulated in the media, many witnesses came forward to give their accounts. Some people reported seeing him walking on the road Chelsea was running on, while others felt uncomfortable in his presence. On March 2, 2010, FBI agents boarded a boat looking for any sign of Chelsea on the south shore of Lake Hodges. They discovered blonde hair amid the mud in the shallow water where Chelsea's body was found. Her body was about 10 feet from the spot where authorities found her shoes. However, due to bad weather, they could not find the body the same day, and the dogs could not smell her in the water. Sheriff Bill Gore, who had become close to the family during the investigation, arrived at the family's home to deliver the heartbreaking news that the body had been found and John was in custody. He confirmed that prosecutors are seeking the death penalty for John. John's attorneys worked to reach a plea agreement. They negotiated with the San Diego district attorney that John would help find Amber's body on the condition that they avoid the death penalty. When leading the authorities to Amber's body, John was very calm and even smoked a cigarette. He pointed to a shallow grave and admitted to throwing away Amber's clothes and other belongings. Investigators did not find Amber's entire body, but did discover a portion of human hair, which was later determined to be hers. Carrie and Dave, Amber's parents, were called to the Escondido police camp. Here, police announced that they discovered some of Amber's remains but did not find her entire body. Neither the police nor medical authorities were able to give a clear idea of what happened to Amber, which left Carrie feeling disgruntled. She appeared on Larry King Live to express why no one had given her a clear picture of the incident and encouraged John to confess to the crime if he was involved. After Carrie expressed her disappointment on the television show, the district attorney informed the King family that John had pleaded guilty to avoid the death penalty. He confessed to being involved in Amber Dubois' death and Candace's attack. King's family was furious when they received the news but agreed to the terms of John's plea. The district attorney was acutely aware of the potential fallout if the public learned that John Gardner would not face the death penalty. Such an announcement had the power to ignite outrage not only in San Diego but across the state and even the nation. The brutal nature of Gardner's crimes had left the community shaken, and the expectation of the harshest punishment was palpable. Failing to deliver that could lead to a tidal wave of anger and frustration from the victims' families and the public, who saw Gardner as the embodiment of evil. The district attorney knew that navigating this decision would require a delicate balance between justice and managing the explosive emotions surrounding the case. Although John's lawyer advised him to keep quiet, John decided to speak up. On April 25, 2010, he pleaded with the judge and lawyer to give him the opportunity to appear on KFEM television to publicly apologize to the victim's family. He confessed his crime and expressed remorse for what he had done. However, the public was not very impressed with this action. Additionally, a book titled Lost Girls was released by Caitlin Arthur, a renowned Canadian true crime writer. In this chilling account, Arthur delves deep into the tragic events surrounding the case, exploring not only the horrifying details of the crimes, but also the lives of the victims and the ripple effects on their families and communities. Through meticulous research and compelling storytelling, Lost Girls offers a haunting portrayal of the devastation left in the wake of such senseless violence, cementing Arthur's place as a powerful voice in the true crime genre. When Caitlin reached out to John about his book, John asked if he could sign the book so people would remember him. He also arrogantly thought that signing would show that he had accepted his crime and wanted to repent on behalf of the victim's family. The victim's family was angry about the publication of the book. A family member said, "I think it's sick. He's not sorry. He just wants attention. He doesn't know what remorse is, so why suddenly apologize?" On the day of sentencing, John appeared restless and distracted, even though his attorney advised him to remain calm while listening to victim impact statements. Carrie, Mo, and Dave talked about their adorable daughter. Throughout their speech, John occasionally shed tears. Carrie said, "Yeah, you took away my daughter and my best friend. You took away my youngest daughter's role model and her innocence. You took away a shining star from the community, this and our world. And for what purpose?" The victim's family hopes justice will be served. They rely on the prison community to make John's remaining days a living nightmare. Amber's family and Chelsea's family both hope that justice will be served, even in John's final days. The families of both Amber and Chelsea hold on to one hope, that justice in some form will be served. While the courts have handed down their sentence, the families place their faith in the prison system to ensure that John's remaining days are a living nightmare, an existence defined by fear and suffering. The weight of his crimes, too heinous to ever be forgiven, haunts them, but they find some solace in the knowledge that he will never again walk free. Both families share the same wish that in the dark corridors of prison, he will face the consequences of his actions, even in his final moments. During the trial, John initially appeared remorseful, though the truth of his nature was soon revealed. His confessions were not of a broken man seeking redemption, but rather those of a twisted soul, admitting to a string of other heinous acts. His words painted him not as a victim of circumstance, but as a sadist, reveling in the pain he had caused. The courtroom fell silent as the judge handed down the maximum punishment, 3 consecutive life sentences, without the possibility of parole. In addition, he was ordered to pay $46,000 in fines to the victims' families, though no amount of money could ever undo the damage he had wrought. Justice, however imperfect, had been delivered, ensuring that John would spend the rest of his life in captivity, paying for the horrors he inflicted. The King family didn't want anyone else to go through the pain they endured, so they created Chelsea's Law, which increased penalties for those who commit sex crimes against children. This law requires that these people be sentenced to life in prison without parole. After the community held a memorial service for Amber and Chelsea, they prayed for the girls' souls to rest in peace. The case is not only heartbreaking, but also a reminder of manipulators who turn themselves into victims to avoid responsibility. We want to know your opinion. Do you think John Gardner was really a victim of mental illness or just a monster? Let us know in the comments section below. If you find this video interesting, please subscribe to the channel, like and share the video. If you have a story you want to share, please leave us a message.